Namaskar, hello and a very warm welcome to this 5-day online training on media and information literacy. I'm Tanvi Khurana and you're watching us on eVidya channel number 6 to channel number 12. This is the 4th day of this online training and today we are going to discuss advertising literacy. Day 1 we discuss the media literacy, its policy perspectives, concept, need and scope. On day 2nd we discussed media literacy, competency and skills. On the 3rd day we discussed news literacy. On this day 4 we are going to discuss advertising literacy, and tomorrow that would be the last and the final day of this online training. The discussion of the topic will be media literacy and non-violence communication. So I welcome all our viewers in this particular program and I really hope that you have registered yourself for this training. And if you have not registered yourself, I would request you to please go to CIET website and register yourself. And if in case you face any problem, please stay with us on this program, and towards the end of the program, I'll be explaining the entire process of registration and how you are going to get the certificate tomorrow after attending the course on the Diksha portal. So everything will be explained, but for that please watch this entire program. And let me tell you that this entire training has been organized by CIET NCERT in collaboration with IIMC, that is Indian Institute of Mass Communication. If in case you have any questions, any queries, please write it down and share it with us through our email ID, that is training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. Apart from this, you can also call us on our number, that is 8800440559. And you're also watching us on our YouTube channels. Multiple YouTube channels are there. The official channel is NCERT Official and NCERT PM eVidya channel number 6 to channel number 12. So in the live chat box of these channels, you can write down your questions, your queries and share them with us. I'm Tanvi Khurana and let me please introduce you to our guest for today. We have with us Dr. Shikha Rai. Ma'am, a very warm welcome.
Thank you so much, Tanvi.
Thank you, ma'am, for being with us today. Ma'am is an associate professor from School of Journalism and New Media Studies, IGNOU, that is Indira Gandhi National Open University, Maidangadi, New Delhi. So let's begin with our conversation, and the title of this discussion is, like I said, advertising literacy. Let me please ask ma'am, what is so new and so special about this information that you are going to give it to our viewers? What exactly is the focus of this particular program?
Sure. Thank you for opening the discussion, Tanvi. Advertising, as we all know, is a lot of information that we are bombarded with every now and then and all the time that we see around us. So all across we see a lot of information which is more or less promotional in nature. They're trying to push some kind of information to us, and so it is important that we understand and learn what advertising is all about and how to deconstruct those media messages which make us lose money, which make us change our attitude and our opinions, our perceptions and the decision making that we keep doing on a day-to-day basis. Precisely the reason we decided to have this session today on advertising literacy. So welcome one and all, and in this session on advertising literacy, we are first going to focus on how this information is bombarded on us from various aspects. We all know all the various kinds of media that we have these days, right from newspaper to television to digital media, gaming platforms, social media, websites, mobiles, billboards, retail stores, when you walk across to the metro stations and even inside the metro trains or over them. There are so many sports events and various other different kinds of political events, so on and so forth, as well as movie theaters. Everywhere we are being suggested what to buy, how to go about it, what is so special about this product and why we should be having certain kind of products. So looking at it all, we will realize how advertising is everywhere. It is all around us all the time. So in such kind of a situation, how do we decide what is the best way to make a decision? whether to go for a product or a service or not go, whether to ignore it, how much to believe, etc. So when I say advertising is everywhere, American advertising in the media says that 247, this is the range that they're giving, 247 to over 5,000 ads is what an average person is exposed to per day. So even if you look at the lower range of this figure, you would see that there are more than 15 ad exposures for every waking hour for a person. And 60% of it is the atypical newspaper advertising or billboards or hoardings that you see across on highways and everywhere else in the streets. 40% of TV content is advertising. And an internet user, oh, you don't talk about it. Internet usage has 1,707 banner ads per month. So much advertising we come across all the time. Ads are on the sides of buildings, they're on taxis, they're in buses, and everywhere that you can think of, even in gas pumps and all other stores that you come across every time. So while we say that advertising is everywhere, and because advertising literacy is important, let us also try and understand what this advertising is. What is it that is being pushed to us, which is being sold to us, or they're trying to change our perception towards a certain thing. So when I say advertising, advertising is basically a paid form of presentation, and it helps you promote ideas and products. This is being done by an identified sponsor and through a medium, a visual medium, mostly one of the mass media. The most important aspect of this advertising is none other but you. And why you? Because it is your attention that they are seeking, because it is your decision that they are depending on. So advertisers have conditioned us to give them our time and our money by appealing to what they think we need. So like when we talk in communications and in mass communications, we talk about this concept of real need, felt need and perceived needs. So perceived need is the need that an advertiser feels that a person might require, and that is what they cater to whenever they are selling us a product or service through advertising. Most of us do not realize how much advertising exposure we experience every day and the subtle effect it has on us, and how it has been shaping our attitudes and our behavior, our beliefs, and how it has been slowly bringing about a change in the way we perceive things. So, having spoken of this, we also need to understand what are the objectives of advertising. As must be very clear to you by now, commercial aspect obviously is one, but there are four major aspects. One is to inform, because through advertisements, somebody wants to inform you about what a product is or what a service is and what it can do for you. Then the second thing is persuasion. They induce people into buying a product or a service, and they give enough reasons to lure you into buying them. The third is to remind, which is to keep reinforcing the central message. So if you have made one purchase decision, they want to ensure that you make a repeat decision and to ensure that you have some brand loyalty, so that in future you continue to make repeat purchase decisions of the kind. So say for example, you've been reading a certain newspaper which has been coming down in the family because your grandparents used to read it and your parents used to read it, and now you read it too. So that is the kind of brand loyalty that they are wanting from you. So that part is one. And the fourth thing is reinforcing. Now this is about convincing the current audience that they have made the right choice. So you would see that the researchers have also shown whenever someone makes a major purchase decision, say for example buying a car, they are more likely to see more of advertisements pertaining to that brand of car. This is to reinforce to themselves that we have made the right decision, and advertising rightly does that also. So these are the four main objectives of advertising. Besides that, when we look at, having spoken about the objectives, when we look at the effects that advertising can have on you, one is that it promotes commercialization and it promotes materialism, the idea that turns everything into objects sold for the purpose of generating profit, and that success and happiness is tied to purchasing of these products, and this leads more to the focus on material wealth and overconsumption, which is what we call consumerism. So one of the effects of advertising is that it promotes commercialization and materialism. The second is that it creates a false desire. Like I said, there are three kinds of need. One is the perceived need. This is what the advertiser feels that you need. The other is felt need, what you think you need. And the third is real need, what you actually require. So it creates a false desire because advertisement is able to play with your emotions, it is able to play with your aspirations, social status of people, and it makes them believe that they really need and desire a particular product. After that, we would also talk about brand loyalty. Advertisers create a strong brand identity that consumers can relate to, which encourages repeat purchases. Now, this often involves creating a narrative around the brand that aligns with the consumer's values as well as lifestyle. So, this is another effect of advertising. The fourth effect is manipulation of vulnerable populations. A very good example is children. So when we say children, how children are influenced by advertisements in general and how they want to buy those products, those services according to their age groups, which they are more convinced with because their friends are using it, and because the ads of such products keep popping on television or on all the whatever social media they are able to access. So this is another effect of advertising which we must be very careful about. It's not just promoting consumerism, it is also leading to manipulation of these very versatile kinds of population which we are talking about, the children.
Here, ma'am, I have a question to ask.
Please.
So when we talk about manipulation in advertising, there are certain products that are specifically targeted for children. And it's not necessarily that they are very healthy for the children. So in that case, what do you think parents should take care of, and they should, what do parents do, their role and their responsibility is towards the children, and how to take care of them, and so that they don't get affected by such advertising?
So when we talk about children, one very important aspect is that you train them, and as we will proceed in this lecture, you will see that there are multiple ways how we can train them into figuring out what is best and what is not good for them. Like researchers have proved, researchers in advertising have shown that children after the age of 12 are able to have the kind of mindset that an adult has. So they are able to understand that someone is trying to fool them in the name of paid promotion or advertising, which is not always the case in in little children, say for example 5-year-olds. So when we are talking of children of the age group of 5 or less, we will see that these are the kids who will not make any differentiation between entertainment and a paid form of communication like an advertisement. So the idea is, as we proceed in this lecture, I will talk about those points that we must keep in mind, which we should also train our children about, so that they don't fall into this trap of advertisers. Yeah. So the next thing is, of course, brand loyalty that we talked about. After this, we would like to see how do advertisers get you to buy things. We know there are certain objectives, we know there are certain effects, but how do they enforce the fact that you're buying something from a particular e-commerce platform, or you ordering something, or you going window shopping and ending up purchasing something just because there are sales prevalent. So how do advertisers get you to buy things? The first thing to understand here is advertisement appeals. Now there are various kinds of appeals. If you can recall any 3 to 4 ads that you must have seen last, you would see that there are various kinds of appeals. Now these appeals could be emotional, they could be more social in nature, they could be more logical in nature, any kind of appeal. There can also be fear appeal. So when we had COVID-19, people were more fearful about their health or what could happen if something goes wrong. So there we need to understand what are those various appeals that advertisers make use of while they are talking to us through this paid form of communication. So the first is information or argument based appeal. Whenever we are told that we should invest and invest with a certain company, because 5 years down the line or a few years down the line, when your children will require the funds for education, you need to be able to produce them or be able to take up a loan, or you must, you should be prepared for your old age. So that is a more logical argument based appeal, and this is a straightforward informed information that consumers get about sale, about the price, about the product or the service. Now this approach came to be known as more of a tell approach, a more subtle variant of the hard sell approach. So whenever we're talking of hard sell, we're talking of all those places and all those situations where people are pushed with products and the various reasons why the product must be very good for them, or it will be able to help them gain what they're looking forward to. So this argument based appeal is a reasoning way of talking about things. So reason why approach. So say for example, a consumer durable like say for example a laptop or a computer or washing machine or refrigerator. There you would like to know what is the kind of how much electricity is being consumed, or what is the better feature that this car has, or how is this laptop better than the other brand's laptop, so on and so forth. The second appeal is emotional or effect based appeal, where the advertiser would largely try to touch the consumer's feelings and emotions rather than appealing to him on logical grounds through the thought pattern. The development of you can call it soft sell approach was in line with the societal and academic trend of the time, which is increasingly to view human nature as governed by their instinct. What is it that leads us to, we watch so many films and sometimes we end up laughing, at the other times we end up crying. What is it that appeals our emotions? That is what the advertiser is looking for, and then those are the things that they would like to sell to us. It is more non-rational, it is more emotion based. Now if you remember the ad of any soft drink or any perfume, you would know what I am talking about. So how emotional aspect of a person is touched when this is happening. So when we talk about emotional appeals, there are various things that can be catered to. So it could be happiness, it could be sadness, it could be fear. A lot of time fear appeal is used more because then people do not see the rationality. When we talk about COVID-19, people did not see rationality any further, be it having karha or be it inducing all those all those things that would come to us through Ayurveda or any other means. So people would start believing those aspects which they would usually not believe. So this fear appeal is again a very strong appeal that advertisers make use of. Then of course when you talk of happiness, you talk of adventure, you talk of popularities, you wear a certain brand and you become more popular. I mean, this is aimed at teenagers who look at brands, who look at what their friends are wearing or how they would like to see themselves, how they would like the world to take note of them. And then gratification. Now, when we talk of gratification, a good example could be a sunscreen. So the gratification it is providing me is, it is protecting my skin in hard sun. So from the UV rays, so consumers would like to purchase this. Now, which brand and why this brand is better is something for the consumer to look at. Humor is also another good appeal. So most of the times consumers remember those things which are said to them in form of a humor. So because this ad is so funny, they would like to go for a product or service. Then there are celebrity testimonials. We all have our favorite actors, film actresses and actors, and whatever they talk about. So if somebody uses a certain brand or they are endorsing a certain product, people would easily fall for it. Then we also talk about playing on emotions. Okay, so when I'm doing something, some kind of activity which reminds me of my days of childhood or my days with my mom or my father, that is something that I talk that is something that is focused on when you're talking about emotional appeals in advertising. Then there are also fear appeals, as I said, because like when we were talking about COVID-19, we were talking about the products so that they are healthy. We need to live a healthy life, so this product must be used. And then there are also hidden forms of advertising. Now the hidden advertising could be, there are various films that you must have seen, and in them you would see another product being used, like maybe a certain brand of pizza being used, a certain restaurant which is very popular with the kids being focused on. So this is a technique where references to specific brands or products are incorporated into another work, which is a film, which can be a documentary or some such television program. So this is a form of hidden advertising. Then we also have a more recent phenomena of influencer marketing. Since social media has become so important these days, it has become so much more prevalent than what it was earlier. Now we know that there are certain people who are influencers. Now individuals who are influencers are these people who have a substantial following, and then they often collaborate with brands, and then they seamlessly integrate the products with what they are saying. So a fashion influencer could not just be telling you how to dress up in a certain way, such that if you have 5 pairs of clothes, how you can mix and match and create 10 pairs out of them. They might also be talking to you about which brand of clothes to wear. So ideally, this is where influencer marketing started blurring the lines. Unlike traditional advertising, these promotions would often masquerade as organic posts, making it challenging for users to differentiate between genuine recommendations and paid endorsements. So this is again something that all of us must be aware of. Sometimes these posts may seem extremely genuine, and audiences might feel that the influencer is speaking from the heart and telling a real life experience rather than just promoting a product. But one should be, one should take care of this. One should take care of what you are getting influenced with, and before making an informed decision, it is really nice if you can ponder it over, sleep on it for the night, and then make a conscious decision. All right. Now we talk of course, in the past 2 to 3 days of this orientation program, this workshop, you would have all learned about news literacy, media literacy, as Tanvi was saying, and what all it comprises. Now here, we all understand that media literacy is basically the ability to read and critically analyze different forms and means of media representation. Having said that, the development of personal media literacy begins with the realization every day when we receive thousands of messages, like I said in the beginning of the session, that we are bombarded with thousands and lakhs of messages in the form of advertising every day that can potentially influence our opinions, attitudes, values, as well as behavior. So this is what media literacy helps you do. It helps you understand where you might go wrong. It helps you understand what it is that you must pay critical attention to, and how do you interpret it, how do you understand it, and then how do you make an informed decision. A part of media literacy is advertising literacy. Now there are certain skills, there are certain abilities that are associated with this. When we say advertising literacy, it is the ability to understand, it is the ability to interpret and critically evaluate advertising messages. So all those messages that are being bombarded to you through radio and television and films and hoardings and everything, the ability to understand them, grasp them, make correct meaning of them, and understand what is behind it. What is it that is persuading you to make a decision in favor of the product is the ability of advertising literacy. Then we talk of skills. These skills are needed to discern the persuasive intent behind the advertisements, and also to recognize the techniques by means of which the influencers or the advertisers are influencing the consumers. So that is one thing. While you understand the techniques, while you understand the appeals, and we deconstruct an advertisement, it is important to know what we are looking for. Okay. Also, it gives you the empowerment, because if you have this empowerment to be able to read through the lines, read between the lines in advertising, you're able to make correct decisions. So when we talk about empowerment, it is basically individuals that make informed decisions and resist manipulating advertising tactics. That is how you become empowered. That is how you make children empowered. So ideally, all those ways and means by which you're able to empower yourselves and those around you about these not so true ads and paid forms of communication is what empowers you and makes you advertisement literate. Then there are certain dimensions of advertising literacy. One is informational literacy, the ability to use various resources of information and to evaluate the correctness of this information is what we call information literacy. So the idea is to develop this ability to obtain information from the media as well as to judge its accuracy. That is one dimension of it. The second dimension is visual or aesthetic literacy. When we talk about visual or aesthetic literacy, we're talking about understanding those forms of auditory and visual expressions as well as the styles, stories and references that actually help in building an advertisement while it is presented to you. So in totality, how you're able to look at the kind of colors that are used, what kind of a cultural impact it is leaving on you, what sort of a mood it leaves you in, the mood that is built within that ad, and I'm talking of audiovisual advertisements. So understanding that in terms of auditory and visual expressions, understanding the semiotics of it, making meaning, that is what we understand by visual or aesthetic literacy in advertisements. The third bit is rhetorical literacy, whereby we are talking about rationality, we're talking about ethics, and we are talking about the basic pathos, the basic reason why we're doing something. So there are three aspects that we talk about here. One is ethics. So ethos is the values and ethics, and how much would you find the source of information to be a credible one is decided by ethos. Pathos means all those feelings and emotions that advertising usually caters to. And logos is more of a rational appeal. So save, because 20 years down the line you will require money for medical expenses, is logos, where they're giving you some rationality into it. And buy and gift your father a car is more of an emotional appeal. So this is pathos. And ethos is when a doctor is talking to you about health, you are more likely to believe. And that is why so many toothpastes and toothbrushes would see people with white coats talking about the product. So that is one dimension of advertising literacy, which we call rhetorics or the rhetorical literacy. Then there is advertising recognition, which is important because if you're able to identify a message in advertising and why it is being made in such a fashion, that gives you the empowerment to call yourself an advertising literate person. One is recognition, the other is understanding. The second bit, which is talking about advertising understanding, talks about people's ability to understand the advertiser's commercial intent. So while you're understanding that, you are also able to identify the message and understand why it is being sold to you. So when we're talking about understanding, we're talking about two things. One is the selling intent, whereby advertising aims to sell products for profitable reasons. We know advertising is for profit, it is not a free thing. The second is persuasive intent, the things that help you manipulate your opinion, to turn it into something which is more persuasive in nature, as a result of which it will bring about a behavioral change. What will that behavioral change be? That you will go ahead and buy that product or service. So those are the two kinds of intent that we look at when we're talking about understanding of advertisements, right? The third bit is intended audience. When you understand the concept of audience, targeting and segmentation, who is it that you're looking at when you're selling a lipstick or a brand which is talking about sunscreen or a brand that is talking about hair color? So understanding this concept will also help you know who are the target audience for it. Adult diapers, who are they aimed at? Okay, so intended audience is important to understand, and if you look at all of these things, you know, advertising understanding and intended audience and what are the ways they persuade, you will automatically be able to deconstruct an advertisement and understand what and why it is being sold to you in a certain way. And as long as this is happening, you are becoming advertising literate. The fourth thing is persuasive tactics, whereby you look at various strategies used by advertisers to enhance and idealize the product. Another fact is bias. Now, they will create a bias towards something and against something. We know a lot of brands who give a certain definition of beauty, a certain skin color, a certain shape, a certain hair color, whatever, or the hair texture. But we know that beauty is not confined with that. But this kind of a bias is also created. Who is more popular? One who is more popular amongst the classmates or amongst girls or amongst teachers, that is the child which is more popular. Who creates this bias? Or a person who is all-rounder, a student who is good with studies, who is also a swimmer, who is also a public speaker and a singer, is somebody who is an all-rounder. Who has given these definitions? So somewhere advertising pushes this to us, because advertising also works on the cultural aspects of things. So while we are in a society, while we have certain norms and mores which can be right or wrong and have not been really written on the wall, there are certain factors that an advertisement will push to us. And these factors will create a bias in the minds of children, in the minds of all those people who are looking at it without questioning it. So that is another component of advertising literacy. Now, what sort of skills are required? It is important to understand the skills that you require if you have to be advertisement literate. One is the cognitive skills. Cognitive means something that has something to do with the mind. So the ability to analyze an advertisement or to identify the key elements of persuasion is important. So you see an ad and you feel that there is a certain emotion of father-daughter love which is being depicted here. So when you're analyzing an advertisement to identify this element, this is a cognitive skill. Again, the ability to compare and contrast. Somebody is trying to sell you maybe a policy, an investment policy, and if you decide to compare and contrast it in terms of all the brands that are available and what sort of investment should you go into, it will help you structure your cognitive skills. Then the second part is real world knowledge structure. When we're talking about the real world knowledge structure, we are looking at this ability to evaluate veracity of claims in the ad, right? So if an investor tells you that within 2 years your money will double, it is important for you to understand how the market is working, what has been the trend, and has it ever been in the past 10, 15, 20 years that money has doubled over 2 years, unless there was a scam that was included in it. So this is something that you as a literate person are going to look at and not blindly believe what is being served to you in the platter. Then the third bit is emotional skills. Rationality is always valued more than emotional bit, but emotional skills basically talk about the ability to analyze the feelings of people in the ad. How would they feel what the ad is showing them to be feeling? Would you really be, because somebody was wearing a certain brand of perfume, would you really be feeling so elated and on top of the world? It's just a perfume. So one has to place yourself, you have to place yourself in the place of this person who is acting in a certain fashion. Then the ability to put oneself in the position of different people in the ad. Would they really act in that way? So if a person who is wearing a beautiful perfume passes by, do you really, turn around and look the way that it is made to look in the advertisement? So those are the types of things, because they are selling dreams, just like films, advertisement is selling a dream. It is on you how literate you are and how focused you are, how well you know what your real need is. And then you make an informed decision. It is fine to look at ads for entertainment, but your decisions depending on those advertisements must be informed ones. Then of course there are aesthetic skills. The ability to analyze the craft and artistic elements of an ad is important to understand. And I'll give an example, because we were talking about children. I'll give an example of children. Children these days play a lot of video games. So if you look at the cultural components of the games, you would see that a certain color depicts the hero and a certain color depicts the villain. So there is a certain connotation which is given. Say for example, love. Why should love be confined to the color red? So those are the aspects that people in communications research and who are studying films and aesthetics actually get into. But when we talk about aesthetic games, it is the ability to analyze this craft which is being sold to you. If you're talking about romance, things are mostly mushy and pink and white, and certain subtle colors are being used. When they are trying to churn up memories from the past, there are certain different kinds of colors that you will, sequoia and other colors that are being used. Then also the cultural components. When you look at an ad which is an Indian ad, it will appear different from the one that is in Europe or anywhere else. So this ability to analyze the craft of how they are packaging and selling to you beautifully is also important, and that counts towards aesthetic skills. Also, the ability to compare and contrast the artistry that is used in this craft. If you're able to know that, then the skill of aesthetics becomes easy for you to understand. Then of course, there are moral skills, the ability to analyze the moral elements of an ad. So when an ad says that a person with a certain figure or a certain color or certain texture of hair is beautiful, do you agree with it? One must use their heads. And the ability to evaluate the ethical responsibilities of advertisers is important. The next ability we talk about is about analyzing personal needs. Nobody else is going to talk about this, because when we talk about personal needs, do you really need a smartphone, or do you really need an Apple iPhone or any other expensive phone for that matter? The more aware you are of your needs, the more you can stay out of control of clutches of advertising, which is all around all the time. If you're not aware of your needs, the constant flood of advertising messages will create and shape your needs, and it will also help you make a certain decision which may not necessarily be a very informed one. So without you knowing it, a decision will be made. So the last bit of this session will talk about how to analyze advertisements. And in fact, there are two things that I will be talking about. One is about analyzing an advertisement, and second is what questions must you ask when you're going to make a purchase decision. The first thing, what is the main product claim? The reason for buying a product of the ad. So why do you want to buy? What is the claim that they are having? Do they think that this brand of umbrella will be better than the others because then it's not going anywhere for the next 10 years? Or the fact that it will not be eaten away by insects? What is it? Is the claim presented explicitly or implicitly? You have to infer it. You have to understand whether it is an explicit presentation of the claim or an implicit presentation. The third bit is, what is the intention of the ad? Now there can be social awareness ads also. There can be a positive emotion ad also. There can also be something which is aiming to change your opinion or your attitude. Say for example, your opinion towards a certain political celebrity or a political party. It could be anything. It could be inoculation. It could be reinforcement. You made the right decision. Please go for the same brand again whenever you're ready to make another purchase. So, or it is simply to buy a product, hard sell. What is it? The intention of the ad is important to understand. Then if emotional, which emotion was evoked and why that emotion only? So a certain product is sold because it will help me protect my skin against UV rays. You really think that this is the kind of emotion that should be evoked? Can there be a better emotion that we may be talking about? It is important to understand this. And then if rational, how much information was presented? When we talk rationality, when we talk practicality, it is all in good light. But were the right facts presented? Did you cross-check the facts? What have you done? So this is important when you're analyzing the advertisement. So if somebody is saying that so much percentage of population uses this brand, are you ready to believe it at the face value? Or would you rather ref check? Would you cross check the facts and then decide what is the correct explanation and the correct facts for it? Then did the ad use a product spokesperson? If so, why was this person chosen? So why was a certain celebrity, maybe a cricketer or a Bollywood star, chosen? Why was a child prodigy chosen? So that is what has to be understood. And then what was the message strategy of the ad? That too is important to understand, because as long as we know the strategy, how a product is being sold to us, people cannot fool us, because we will know what is in the inside, right? And the last bit of this session is going to talk about evaluating advertising messages. Here we are talking about the audiences who regularly need to ask themselves a few questions. When I say audiences, it includes you, it includes me, it includes the children, it includes everybody. Since all of us, nobody is spared when we talk about bombardment of advertisements and advertising paid form of messages. One, which ads evoked the strongest emotions in me? That will tell me what my weakness is, what sort of ads I will fall for in a very easy fashion, without much persuasion, without much efforts on the part of the advertiser. What were those emotions? How the ad triggered those particular emotions? What is the strategy? How did it build? Because every ad is like a little film. You know, it builds upon something, it builds upon some basic frame. You know, the basic context needs to be noted, and then you need to understand what sort of an influence has it had on me. How has it been able to convince me to do a certain thing or not do a certain thing? How has it been influenced to pick on this brand as compared to any other brand that is available for me? So how it has been able to trigger those emotions. Then which ads were the best from an aesthetic point of view? Is there something about the writing or the direction, editing, lighting, or the storyline, you know, the narrative it is trying to build? It could be women's safety. It could be the fact that you're consuming a certain thing because you will become, say for example, you'll be able to lose weight easily without much dieting, without much exercise. So is that really possible? You need to go and cross-check scientific facts. You need to understand how metabolism in the body goes on and then make a decision in favor of that brand. Which ads were most upsetting from a moral perspective? That too is important to understand, because we all live in a society and any media or advertisements are not a separate part of it. You know, like when we talk about media, we say that it is a part of society, economy and polity. These three aspects, and it is a part of it. So while we're saying that, what is the moral perspective? We cannot ignore the moral perspective, the cultural norms, or how people are conditioned to living, celebrating festivals, spending on certain occasions, and how do we see one thing as distinguished from the other. So this is important to understand. Then of course, what ethical considerations were raised? We know that the Supreme Court over a period of time has banned many advertisements.
Yes.
Just because certain ethical considerations were important, and you know, a cream which claims that it will make you, it will give you a fairer complexion, is fooling people, and a lot of people over a period of time have been fooled by that, after which this came. Of course, some time back, SEBI also announced that any sort of influencers, finfluencers is what they are called. So financial influencers are what we're talking about. So this regulatory body, SEBI, asked that none of its agents are going to in any way give any sort of information or collaborate with these finfluencers who say that one should be investing in certain kind of debts funds or certain kind of various funds that are available in the market, and that they will multiply over a shorter period of time. So those are the more more serious types of things that one must be mindful of. So ethical considerations, and overall, which ads were the most persuasive to me? This list of questions that we have with us, as long as we are focusing on this list of questions, it is easy for us to understand and acknowledge that we will be able to make the correct decision. We will be able to take the decision that must be taken. It is not wrong to buy products after looking at advertisements, but what is right approach is you should be able to understand what is the best product, compare it with other existing products in the market, and then make an informed choice based on what is your requirement, what is your, like I say, real need.
Absolutely. So we can say that there are multiple factors that a consumer needs to keep in mind while taking the right decision to buy anything from the market without being influenced by ads. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the wonderful presentation. Each and everything you mentioned regarding the ads, they were so relatable that this happens on everyday basis. And like you said, that we are all bombarded with several types of ads, if not one brand, but multiple brands. And it is very influential, definitely. Okay, so ma'am, I have a few questions for you. May I?
Please.
Okay,
Yes.
so you mentioned that there are all sorts of ads, and some are very influential, but some ads are very illogical. They are stupid.
Yes.
But in advertising, they say that they should have a recall value. But being illogical, even that ad no sticks in the mind, and it has a recall value.
That's true.
So while preparing such an ad, what strategy do the advertisers use, and what do they think that if they are making an illogical or stupid ad, why will the brand still be remembered by people?
A very pertinent question, Tanvi. Now, there is one concept in advertising which talks about recall value, and we say that it is either aided recall or unaided recall. So, when this researches are done on what sort of advertisement should be made, what piece of communication, how it should be created, it is important to understand that sometimes even stupider ads would be more relatable because people will remember it. It is quite a possibility that it will remind me of something back there in my childhood, or it will help me remember a certain classmate of mine who used to study with me in school, or some such thing. So even if it is stupid, so say for example, a certain brand of toothpaste helps you shine your teeth so well that a street light would not be needed.
Yes.
Now this is something which is extremely stupid, but still it sells, and it is always there in recall. Why? Because we are not used to seeing such illogical advertisements around us. So sometimes just because they stand out because they are stupid.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's like a reverse logic.
Absolutely.
Okay, when we go to a normal person, a middle class person, if going to a supermarket, we see sales like 1+1, and then even like if you buy one, you'll get two free. So they are very catchy, and the consumer generally fall for it.
Yes.
And here, if this is the case, then the advertisers, do they keep like certain communities in mind while placing such an ad? Is there a class strategy separately?
Correct. That is very much there. That is very much the focus. Whenever, especially on fast moving consumer goods, so say for example the edible items, chips and all those kind of stuff that people buy, whenever people are buying something like this, they know that if they are able to sell it double, at least it is going away in some price, because the time by which it will become invalid or it will not be consumable anymore is approaching soon. So the idea is, and the middle class of this society is a very much a potent vehicle for advertisers, because they can tap into them and they can finally recover their profits. So it is a good way of recovering your profit when you're not able to recover the maximum of it.
Okay.
So yes.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. We have learned a lot today regarding advertising literacy and how we can literate ourselves. We can teach ourselves that these are the factors that we need to keep in mind while going for shopping the next time. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us today.
Very welcome.
It was a wonderful presentation, and it was a pleasure having you. Thank you.
Same here. Thank you all very much.
Thank you to all the viewers as well for being with us today. I really hope that you enjoyed this entire conversation, and we have almost come to the end of this presentation. So let me quickly take you to the website where you can register yourself. So all you have to do is open any browser and type CIET on it. The very first website would be CIET NCERT's. Please click on it and you will see the home page of CIET NCERT. You can see many options, and if you can click on activities option, the third last option is workshop/training. Please click on it. Once you do, a new page will open and you can scroll it further. Here you can see the current activity is the online training on media and information literacy. Right now, if you click on it, another page will open, and this is every information regarding this online training. From day 1 to day 5, the entire schedule has been mentioned. Who all can participate is mentioned. Objectives are clearly written here. The program schedule in detail, who has taken the program has been mentioned here. The presentation day, the videos, everything is clickable. So once you click on it, you will be this will take you to the video, and here if you come to this section, there is a QR code. Please scan this QR code and a form will appear. Please fill in your details and submit it. Once you submit it, the registration will be complete. And if in case you want to click on this particular link, and again the form will open, fill in your details and submit it. The registration will be done. Scroll it a little further and here you can see the link of our YouTube channel, that is NCERT Official, and once you click on it, all the earlier programs that you have missed, the day 1, day 2, day 3 and even today's program, day 4's program, will be here. So you can watch them again if in case you have missed it. Here is the space where the link of the course will be uploaded tomorrow. That would be the last day of this training. We will upload the link of the course which is going to be launched on Diksha portal. So you have to click on that link and appear for the course, and the attempts that you will get for appearing in that course would be 3. 3 times you can appear in that quiz. So be prepared, watch all the videos and yes, come back to this course. If in case you score more than 70%, you will be given the certificate, and the certificate will be there on your Diksha portal page itself. But the certificate will take around 15 to 20 days. So please have some patience and be there and keep on checking for your certificate. But before that, please watch all the 5 videos. And here is the feedback link. Either you can click on this link and submit your feedback, advice, suggestion, whatever you have for us, or you can simply scan this QR code and submit your feedback. Apart from this, you can see there's a specific training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in email ID which is written here, where you can submit your questions, your queries regarding this online training or regarding any of the 5 topics that we have for each and every day. So from 19th of August, we started this training, and today is 22nd of August. That is the 4th day of this online training program. And tomorrow is going to be the last day where the course link will be uploaded and it will be visible to all of you on the website itself. With this, we are wrapping up our today's program. I really hope that you enjoyed the entire training. So thank you so much once again. Be here, don't go anywhere, because we have another upcoming program, and that is going to be Sahyog. The topic of discussion is going to be supporting the new generation in choosing their career path. With this, thank you so much. Tomorrow again at sharp 4 o'clock, we'll come back again and we will discuss the topic media literacy and non-violence communication. Thank you. Have a great day ahead. I'm Tanvi Khurana and I'll take care of you and I'll take a leave of you. Namaskar. Bye-bye.